Hello and welcome to the Sensual Being podcast with myself, your host, Jolene Whiting. I have been a pole dance teacher for nearly 20 years. I'm also a yoga instructor, and my favourite pastimes are connecting to my own sensuality, connecting with the world, and connecting with animals as well. In this podcast, you'll find new and inventive ways of how you see yourself, connecting yourself with others, and also how you see and view the world around you. In today's episode, we talk about things that we do purely for fun, and if we release the judgment of what other people might think about those things, how would we live our lives? Hello, you wonderful, wonderful, glorious, sensual being, and thank you so much for joining me today for one of our little chats, because this has been on my mind quite a lot lately, and it's quite a fun thing when you start to think about it. So I thought, why not share it out and get a bit of a conversation going about it? So this week in the pole classes, I've used an intention with them, which for me personally has really struck a nerve, but a really good nerve. So the intention we've been using is to remember to live life your way and to not worry about what others think about how you live your life. So it's really interesting because when you start to tap into that and start to really think about it, we do worry on some level a lot of the time, maybe not all the time, but a lot of the time about what other people think of us. And you might be thinking, I've heard a podcast about this before, why are you doing it again? Do you know what? Because it is something that we need to remind ourselves of over and over again about the fact that we get to design our lives our way. And when we really tap into that, we can really start to think of, well, why am I not doing the things I want to do? Now, the thing that really sparked this for me was a couple of weeks ago. I got caught out. I was out in town. I had nothing to do. I had given my partner a lift. He was getting his back sorted at the chiropractor. He told me he was going to be 10 minutes. He then messaged me and said he was going to be like another 40 minutes. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I was in a bookshop at that point, and I was looking at a book and I was taking a photo of it, and I was thinking, oh, I might get that book someday, because I didn't have a book with me. I normally go out with a book if I know I'm going to be like out for a while with possibly nothing to do. So I thought, when I got that message, I thought, wow, I'm buying the book now. So I bought the book, and the book is all about, it's lovely so far, it's a story, it's a novel, and it's about somebody who is searching for magic on the lands in the UK. So it's all based around the UK. And I have a very strong connection with the land here. So many people, my partner included, likes to jump ship. Like, he would love to live in Spain. And I'm like, no, it's magic here. I see a lot of beauty in the greenery and in the rivers. And, you know, we're on an island, so we're surrounded by the sea. And I find all of that incredibly magical. And not too far away, just a 5-hour trip down the road, you've got Snowdonia, which has got all the mountains in North Wales. And I just find that all of that kind of landscape is very awe-inspiring, and I really love that. So this book is about somebody who's going on a quest, you know, through the UK, different lands. And I was like, oh, well, this is cool. It seemed like quite an earthy book. So I thought, I'm going to buy that. Okay. So I bought the book, and then I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go to the park over the road and sit under a tree and read this book. So that's what I did. And it felt really good, because it's not something I normally do. I love reading, but it's not something I normally do. And then I did it again the next day because I knew my partner wanted a lift. So I gave him a lift and I went out with the book. So I was ready to go and sit under that same tree again. And I started thinking, do you know what? I'm going to do this. When I read this book, I want to be outside in nature. And it was all well and good because that was a really nice sunny day. And then the weather kind of turned. But I have still been trying to go outside to read this particular book. And it got me thinking, it's a real kind of whimsical thing to do. Like, I could read that book anywhere. Why do I have to go outside? Why? But nobody else has to understand why. If it's just something that you're doing and it's a little bit whimsical, it's a little bit fun, it doesn't really have a reason or purpose, we find it really hard to actually embrace those types of things. And when we were kids, we embraced that all the time. We embraced that type of thing all the time with how we played and things like that. And we seem to have lost that along the way. And I don't really understand why we can't get that back. So I'm on a mission now to get that back. And I just feel like, I know that life can be serious. I know all that. But I feel like, do you know what? Bollocks to it all. I just want to have fun. I just want to do things that light me up. I don't care that nobody understands them. It doesn't matter. It's not for them to understand. And when you start to embrace this kind of living, it's incredibly freeing. Not necessarily easy all the time, but it's incredibly freeing. And this morning, it's currently, at time of recording this, it's a Thursday morning. And last night, I said to my partner, I said, we've got a busy weekend coming up. We've got 3 different events on this weekend. And I was trying to find things I could do this week because, again, I work in the evening as well, which can be lovely and fulfilling, but also quite draining because I'm working right up to my bedtime. And that has always been my pattern for 20 years, but I do find it's hard work because I'd like to go to bed really by 10:30 and wake up at 6. I can't do that when I don't finish teaching until 9:30. So by the time I've got home, wound down, got to bed, the time ticks on. So if I want to do something, it has to be in the day. But I have this thing hanging over me, this kind of 9 to 5 culture, which I used to be in years ago. But even though I haven't been a part of that culture for so long, I still feel this pull that if I am not doing work or something that during the day, during the week, that, I'm just kind of, I don't know, I feel like society judges me. And to be honest, if we're going to go down that route, I think society judges me for a hell of a lot more than just that one thing. I mean, I'm a pole dance teacher and I've made a whole career out of spinning around in circles in big heels. So there's a lot more. But I don't seem to be bothered about that. But I'm bothered about this. Why? Makes no sense, does it? Do you know what I mean? Makes no sense. So this morning, my partner said to me last night, he said, why don't you book onto that thing? Just book onto it. And what it was, it's beautiful. I went to a yurt, which wasn't that far away from me. And it was a cacao ceremony in the morning at 10 o'clock, followed by an amazing sound bath. And a sound bath was, I love a sound bath anyway. I think they're phenomenal. I just love them. But this one was done by a couple. So you had both of them playing instruments at the same time. And it took it to a whole new level. It really made me think, I want to partner up with somebody with my instruments because this is incredible to receive that sort of healing from them. It was just mind-blowing. But it was just a Thursday morning. And I said to them, I'm so happy I'm here, but it feels incredibly self-indulgent. And I love it. And I'm like, I don't get another time to do this. My evenings are taken up, but there's this guilt around what I was doing. And I personally find that I've learnt this over the years. And I also learnt something this week, which was quite interesting about what I'm about to tell you. So, me personally, I find that I enjoy the social activities that I do. I do enjoy them and they satisfy me, but I don't get energized from them. I get drained. And so I need to do stuff that fills my cup. And for me, that's like ritualistic type things, spaces where nothing can't talk. Nothing is expected of me. And in that way, I can just release. And then I feel so much more energized. Other people are different. Other people will get energized from being around people, but that's just not me. And I was looking into my human design this week. So if you don't know what human design is, to be honest, I'm very new to it. I don't really know. I've known for a while that I'm a projector, and that means, so you get like manifesting generator, that's the only one I can think of now of the other ones. But anyway, so it's a little bit like if you do numerology or astrology, it's something that if you put your name, where you were born, and what time you were born into the system, it would kind of throw together like a birth chart, like a astrological birth chart type of thing. But it's called human design. And I think I've got this right. It's more referred to how you actually go forward. With the astrology, it's like why you do the things you do. And then human design is like how you actually put it in motion. So I've been looking into that lately, and I'm a projector. And I thought, well, I wonder what this actually means for me. And it turns out that I am somebody who is very happy to give advice, but I need to wait for people to come to me, which is interesting because in a lot of my meditations lately, it's been coming up about me being a lighthouse. So basically, the lighthouse is a beacon of, in this case, I guess, let's call their podcast a wealth of knowledge, because there's quite a lot on there now that we put on there. So it's like a beacon of this knowledge that people can come and find it as and when it works for them. So that's part of being a projector, but also part of being a projector is that I have times of energy, but I also have a lot of time where I need to just rest. And that makes a hell of a lot of sense, because since I've been getting into doing like cacao rituals, I've done so many for myself over the years. I just love it. It suddenly draws me in, slows me down, and yet I get so many ideas from it. But I only get those ideas if I slow down. And it just led me to believe, I wonder if that's why, I wanted to do like the ceremony this morning, being Thursday morning. Then I've got a busy day tomorrow, busy day Saturday. And then, fortunately enough, the woman who was facilitating the cacao ceremony today, I'm also with her again on Sunday. So I get my cup refilled before the week starts. So it's worked out really, really well. But it was so self-indulgent to do that on a Thursday morning. But it made me think, like, I have just got to start doing these things. And so have you. So have you. So one of the things I really want to do, and I've wanted one for a few years, for about 4 years now, I've wanted a camper van. What I'm about to tell you I want to do in it will just it might make absolute sense to you. It might make no sense, because I don't really understand the why I want to do this either. So I really want a camper van because I want to be able to just kind of drive off somewhere for the day, probably from the morning, early morning, drive off somewhere. And it's going to sound really like, why would you want a camper just to do that? But I think part of it is I want to be able to be with nature, but also I want to be able to feel sort of not like it's like awkward. So if I've got a camper van, if I need to have a nap, I can do that. If I want to sit in there and write, I can do that. If I want to, like, particularly this one, if I want to like make myself a drink, like particularly a hot drink, maybe cacao. If I want to make myself a hot drink and then maybe make something to eat, I really like the idea of being so integrated within nature that I can just do that anywhere and I've got it all with me. I don't have to rely on going to try and get a takeaway or a sandwich or going into a pub and getting a meal. I want to actually stay where I am. So if that's in a forest or if that's on a beach, but it makes no sense. Like, why? I feel like it's quite a big expense, which is why I haven't bought one yet. But it's quite a whimsical, idealistic thing. There's no real point to it apart from I just want to do it because I feel like it would be fun. And it's these types of things that you put off. I mean, I've put this off for years. I've been putting it off for years. And how much other stuff have we been putting off? And it's funny because I am a pole dancing teacher and I've been doing that for 20 years, but somehow that's now normal. Even now when I do my circle gatherings, sensual playground, even that, it feels like I'm breaking the norm. But I haven't been part of the normal for such a long time now. But somehow this is what I'm trying to tell you, that even me, who is a pole dancing teacher, feels the struggle of doing different things and being up against like a judgment or a ridicule, and we need to break out of that because it's a toxic way of thinking for ourselves. And there is nobody stopping you doing all this except for you. And in my case, me. There is nobody. And to be honest, if you are around somebody, partner, family, friends, who belittle you for things that you want to do that are just a little bit whimsical, a bit out there, a bit fun, there's no way of sugarcoating what I'm about to say. You're with the wrong people. Because the people who love you will respect you. And that means that even if you want to do something that's a bit nuts, they'll hold that space for you. I mean, I do all like my little rituals and stuff. Sometimes my partner walks in when I'm doing them, sometimes he doesn't. But it's just like, if you can't love the crazy in me, then we've got an issue. You don't have to understand the crazy. Now that's different. Because also, why should I make him understand everything that I do? No, he doesn't have to understand it. But he has to allow me to do it. Same as him. When he used to play water polo, and I saw him play it once, and I was like, this is absolutely brutal. It's like rugby in water. And I thought, why would you want to do this? It's horrendous. It's like the amount of injuries he used to have. He played it for years and years. And I was thinking, my God, why would you want to do this? It wasn't for me to understand. It was just for me to support him and help him heal when he hurt himself. So it's that type of thing. You do not have to understand. And I'm sure you probably have a lot more compassion to those around you for what they want to do. But I bet when it comes back to yourself, I bet you put up these barriers. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. What would so-and-so think? But at the end of the day, we are the only ones holding ourselves back. So, in light of really thinking that our life could be taken from us at any moment, you don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So, I vow that we no longer hold back. If there is something that you want to do, just start. Just do it. And you know what? Enjoy learning something new. Enjoy being a bit playful with it. Enjoy the fact that when you start doing something, you generally don't know what you're doing. You're going to be all over the place. You're going to be uncoordinated. You're going to get the notes wrong. You're going to burn something in the oven or something. It doesn't matter. Take the joy in the learning, because a lot of the time when we try and push our boundaries and learn something new, we are very often faced with, in our minds, I have to be good at this straight away. I can't be seen to be bad. And when you're learning something, when you don't know how to do something, you can't be good or bad at it because you haven't learnt it. And even when you have learnt it, you're allowed to make mistakes, because if you weren't sure already, if you're listening to this podcast and understanding it, that means you're human. So humans make mistakes. And that's okay too. But to be able to be in the joy of learning something new is something that we do not do enough. And I think with things like social media particularly, we see before and afters. We see polished moves. We see polished notes of music. We do not see the bits that aren't quite right, or the journey it takes to get there. And each person is different on their journey of how they get something. And that has got to be honoured, but it's got to be honoured from within. It's beautiful that we lift each other up, but you have got to honour your own journey when you start something new. And you've got to be okay with the fact that you don't know it yet and you're learning. The fun is in the learning, and it gives you confidence. So when you learn something new and you're like, oh, I remembered what that was, remembered the routine, I've got it, it gives you a little lift. And that's really nice. And that's the type of thing that we want to be vibing off. And it's not to say that it won't get hard along the way. Sometimes things do get more challenging, but to be able to approach it with a beginner mindset, if things get challenging, even like maybe you need more practice, maybe you need to ask for help, whatever it is, but to be able to approach these things with a beginner mindset would also help us find the joy in it. And that's what life is about. Life is about being able to enjoy the passing of time. And if we're not doing that, then what the hell are you doing with your time? Because our time is incredibly precious. Your time and my time is the most valuable thing that we will ever have. More valuable than money, more valuable than jewelry, more valuable than cars, houses, land. Our time is the most valuable thing. And when we start to see it that way, we put all of this together, what I've said to you today, and we need to start living. And there's no time like the present. You're not too late. You're never too late to start living your life. Just go for it and enjoy it. Let me know what you end up doing as well, particularly if you do things that just a bit whimsical, make a bit of no sense. Share them with me, because I would love to know. Really love to know. One of the other things that I thought about that I like doing is I like going out on my bicycle. And do you know what? When I'm out on my bicycle, I feel like a child on my bike. I absolutely love it. I'm not recording time or trying to get speed or anything like that. I just bimble about. Love going down the big hill that I live nearby, which also means you've got to come back up it on the way back. But I love cycling around. I'll look at trees and I'll go around the lake and I get off the bike and I'll look at the lake. I just have a bit of fun with it. I'm not, trying to do it for the fitness. I mean, yes, it is fitness, and I'm just whimsical with it. And I love that. And it makes me feel like a little kid on my bike. And I just love that. So anything that we can do in our lives that really fill us up in that type of joyful way, I think is incredibly powerful, incredibly fun, and it's incredibly infectious, because I bet other people will want to do this sort of stuff, either with you or just doing this as well in their own time. So allow this to be the type of joy that you spread in the world, and just watch it ripple it out into the universe, and just surround yourself by people who love you, who enjoy your company, and who you love and you enjoy their company too. So I really hope that you've enjoyed that one. I'm literally sitting here smiling, thinking, oh my God, what can I go and do now? I'm so buzzed up about going to do something fun. So remember, as always, to lead through your life with your heart and to live with intention. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please do share it with your friends and on social media. If you have the time to rate or review this podcast, I'd be ever so grateful. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can find me at Jolene Sensual Being. The links to my YouTube and to sign up to my mailing list will be in the show notes as well. I look forward to speaking with you again very soon.